Hello everyone, today I'm here to review a book for you. Today I'll be talking about The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. I'm sure you've heard of this book. To say it's been hyped on book 2 would be a vast understatement. Literally everyone has been talking about this book. To be honest with you, I wasn't even planning to read it at all because I've read some of Holly Black's books. I've tried to read some of Holly Black's books before, but I never really got into them. So when I heard this was coming out, I was like, oh, that sounds interesting. Probably won't read it. And then everyone started talking about it and I was like, and then I got on my outgrade, I was like, oh, I guess I should read it. And it's safe to say I really enjoyed it. So I'm going to try to keep this non-spoiler. I might talk about spoilers in the end, but as of right now, it is non-spoiler. So basically I'm going to tell you what this book is about, what I thought about it, and then I'm going to wrap it up by telling you some brief spoilers. So this book is about our main character named Jude, and she has two sisters. She has a twin sister named Taryn, older sister named Viv. And one day when she's 7 years old, a man comes to her house, Faye, and he kills her mother and father, and he whisks Jude and her two sisters off to Faye. It shifts to the future where Jude is 16 years old and still living a Faye and living in, Faye and being a mortal. So pretty much in this book, Jude is trying to figure out how to be in Faye when everyone hates her. And what happens particularly in this book, she really has a really horrible relationship with the youngest prince, the cruel prince named Carden, and his dad is actually the king, and the king is actually stepping down from the throne. One of his sons is going to get the crown, and this book is pretty much all about that. That was a horrible summary, but just know it's all about like a Fae world and Jude living in Fae and not being Fae. And this book is very interesting. I really enjoyed it, but there are some problematic themes with it, which I will get into. Overall, if I'm honest with you, I would give this book a 5 out of 5. I enjoyed it. I flew through it. I did not expect to fly through it because if I'm honest, I'm not a big fan of Fae books. I never really enjoyed even the parts of any of Cassandra Clare's novels where they would go to Fae. I just thought the Fae are just manipulative people. They are mean. They treat mortals like garbage pretty much, and I never was interested in the whole Fae dynamic. A lot of people love Fae books and are insanely interested in the world and the culture and things like that. And I am interested in the world because I think it's so vivid and descriptive and beautiful. But when it comes to Fae themselves, they're just horrible people. It was interesting reading about Jude when she, she's immortal, but she grew up in Fae, quintessentially. She, that's all she really knows. Her mother and dad were slaughtered by a man that is raising her that, treats her amazingly. And she's grappling with like, he treats me good, but he killed my parents and he's kind of an awful person. And we also have, her older sister named Viv, who's actually Fae, because the man that's raising them is actually her father. Interesting about this book is the politics. This book is full of politics. So if you're a fan of politics, I would highly recommend this book. It's all about pretty much who's getting the crown and who's gonna covet it. And Jude is very much involved in this. She begins kind of being a spy for one of the candidates, and things are very interesting. And Jude herself is a very morally gray character. She says time and time again in this book that she hates these people, but doesn't hate them quite enough. You see her make these decisions that she ultimately maybe regret, but she's okay with doing. I really enjoyed Jude overall. She was kind of annoying at times because I thought she was a little bit, I don't know, she would get a little bit too invested in things, and I was like, oh. On to the parts I didn't like. Even though I give this book a 5 out of 5, there are some definitely problematic themes in it. Number one, bullying. Bullying is a big trigger warning for this book. So if you're really sensitive to bullying and hazing and things like that, I would not recommend reading this book. And I still give it a 5 out of 5 because if I'm honest with you, I've read Fae books before, and I've read a lot of Fae, elements in books that aren't necessarily Fae-centric, and I know that the Fae are horrible people. They just treat, like I keep saying, they treat humans like trash, and they control them, and they glamour them, and they, put like stuff, like they just don't, they think that they're below them. So I knew going into this that it was not going to be an easy ride for Jude. So that's why I still give it a 5 out of 5, because I expected it, because I knew after a lot of the stuff I read before that that was going to be like that. It's not take away the fact from there is some severe bullying, hazing in this book, particularly with Jude. So if you just don't like that stuff, I would not recommend reading this book. I know I keep saying like it's a horrible thing, but I still gave it a 5 out of 5. And to that I say like I expected it. I don't think, it's obviously a fiction book, but it still is horrible. But with Fae, I expect them to be horrible because that's who they are. They're manipulative, they're cunning, they're evil almost. So maybe I'm the only one that feels that way. I don't know. But either way, I just want to let you guys know that's a big trigger warning. But still, I really enjoyed this book. There's not a lot of romance in this book, so if you're expecting like a ultimate fae, swoon-worthy romance, it's not the book for you as well. This book just mainly deals with politics and Jude deciphering how to make her way in this fae world. She, you know, doesn't feel like she belongs in fae, even though she's grown up there, but she doesn't feel like she belongs in the mortal world as well. So she's very struggling with where she wants to be. And ultimately, she just wants to win her place in fae. She wants to feel like she deserves to be there. And to do all that, she has to do a lot of evil things because that's what the fae does. And moving into another character, we have the cruel prince himself, Cardan. He's the youngest prince of the king, and he is horrible. He's responsible for a lot of the bullying and hazing, and he's just a downright horrible character. By the end, you see a different light with him, but overall, he's still just a horrible character, but he's interesting to read about. I also love the dynamic with the twin sister in this book as well. I don't read a lot of books with twins in it, so I loved the relationship with Jude and Taryn and how sometimes it was good, sometimes it was bad, but ultimately I loved reading about that. I don't know what else there is to say about this book other than it's a fae-centric book with a lot of politics. The writing was beautiful, very descriptive, very easy to fly through. Like, I was surprised of how fast I read this book. Sometimes when I read things, I like kind of set, you know, pages for myself because I'm like, this might be a tricky book for me to read, so I'm gonna take my time with it. And this was one of them that I thought I was gonna take my time with. No, I flew through it in like 3 days. It flows so easily, the dialogue's amazing, the characters are very interesting to read about and dynamic and all very morally gray and downright horrible, some of them. So I'd say this like isn't like a super, super dark book, but it does have a lot of dark themes and I really enjoyed it. A 5 out of 5. I'm interested to see how the series is gonna continue, and I'm definitely interested in reading the second book. And now I want to read like all of the fairy books, and I was never interested in fairy books before, but now after this book I am. So if you know of any good ones, please let me know. But if you are on the fence of reading this or not, I'd say if you want a really great fae book with a lot of political stuff in it, a lot of like really dark themes, I would recommend it. And if you're looking for something light and fluffy with fae, I would not recommend it. But I still really enjoyed it. Definitely one of my favorite books of the year already. If you read this book, please let me know your thoughts and opinions. I know a ton of people love it as well, but I can see why a lot of people wouldn't love it as well. I could see where it could just be kind of mediocre for some people, but ultimately, I really enjoyed it and I had a great time reading it. So if you have any of your thoughts and opinions, please share it down below. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, hit subscribe, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye.